is over.
All right, guys, we are here with wrestler Will Allday, right? Mr. Allday, is that how you say that? I know it's Allday, so are you Will Allday or Will Allday?
Well, it's one word, so I hate when people emphasize and break it up into two. It's Will Allday, so you got it right the first and second time.
Awesome. Very cool, man. Hey, we really appreciate you joining us. I'm here with Jody tonight because my other co-host Jeff is feeling a little bit under the weather. So Jody's going to help us out with the interview tonight. And again, we're really happy to have you here, and really, really looking forward to hearing some of your thoughts on wrestling and just where you are wrestling currently, and maybe some of the other companies out there. So if we can start, so how did you get into pro wrestling?
Well, actually, I'd kind of been an athlete my whole life, so it was just like a natural transition, really. Out of college, I played college football, and then I dabbled in some like baseball there, and I was always athletic growing up, and I had like watched it on and off, I think from like maybe – oh God. My first match ever was like Shawn Michaels versus Stone Cold at like WrestleMania 14, I think, which is in 98. And I stopped watching in like 2001. I took like 8 or 9 years off and got back into it. When I was in college, show not randomly, but WrestleMania 25 was in Houston, and I went to Rice University, which is in Houston. And one of my buddies brought it up that, the stream or the pay-per-view was on, and if we wanted to buy it. So I said, sure. I used to watch this when I was younger. Let me go ahead and see if, I still know anybody. And it turns out there were a handful of people that I did know. So it kind of brought that nostalgia back. And I really liked the pageantry of everything. Not focused really on the like athleticism of everything, even though I do really appreciate that, but it's real like it's like the lights brought me in, the promos brought me in, the characters brought me in. So from that one show I was hooked again. I think that had to be like 09. And once I graduated and started working, I got a job in like oil and gas, and I'm doing a grown-up thing that everybody's supposed to do after they get out of college. You get a good job, you get your own place, you grow up. And I was like, man, this sucks. This is not what I want to do with my life. And so I did that for a handful of years, and I was just like, you know what? I really enjoy this stuff. I've always kind of like said I wanted to do it, and for years and years and years, I was like, yeah, I should go do that. I should go do that. I should go do that. And then finally, I was like, man, if I don't pull the trigger soon, it's going to be too late. So I looked up some schools, and I found that Booker T's Reality of Wrestling had a training facility about 40 minutes south of Houston. And, thank God, it worked out. I just jumped into it full force, and I hadn't looked back since. I've been wrestling for about 2 years now. January of 18 was my first match. That was my debut at Reality of Wrestling, and it's been a fun ride. It's been crazy. It's been exciting. It's just it's nothing I really, I don't know. It's not something I thought I was going to do when I was younger. I was always interested in it, but I'm kind of like a smaller guy. So like every sports team I've been on, from baseball to basketball to soccer to football to whatever it was, I always had to bust my ass just to show my teammates or the coaches or the fans or the opponents, whoever, that I was something to behold. And so, wrestling's no different. You got all these 6'5" dudes in there, these big jacked up guys, and you got a smaller person in me having to show everybody that not just that I belong, but I'm that damn good. And so that's what I've been trying to do ever since.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So
Yeah.
now you found Booker T's school. So I mean, I got to hear. So was he involved with you right from the start? I mean, did it take you a little while through the training and stuff like that? Did you get to, did you get to talk to him? Did he talk to you during the training and stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. When I was really going there every day, he was there, I want to say like 3 times a week. And he doesn't do any of like the teaching everybody like the basics. You have people who do that to get them up to speed to start getting in the ring and doing matches and doing the more advanced stuff. And that's really where he sinks his teeth. That's really like where like he shows, the crazy amount of knowledge that he has is once you start getting in there and the little nuances that you don't really even think about, he picks up on every single one. And it kind of blows your mind. Right then and there, you're like, oh, I didn't even think about that. But when you really get it, which is like sometimes maybe the next day or sometimes maybe 6 months later, you're like, that's what he was freaking saying. It's pretty cool to have somebody like that who has so much knowledge in your corner. And so, in the beginning, we talked a little bit here and there. And then as I kept progressing and kept working and kept training, I would obviously talk to him more and more and more. And I always make it a point to seek him out or, have conversations with him because, the best thing you can do in any company or any job is just getting FaceTime with your boss. And so I want to know what's in his head, not just about me, what he thinks about me or what I could do better or what he likes, but also like what direction he wants to take the company in, what direction he thinks wrestling's going in, like business questions, like real like in-depth questions. And it's awesome to have that just whenever I want it.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, absolutely. I could totally see where you're coming from there. That must have been great. He often seems like, you watch guys on TV and you kind of try to get a little glimpse into what their personality is. And he always came off to me as being that type of a guy, being somebody who, would just be, real supportive and things like that of you. So yeah, that's awesome to hear that. That's really cool. How long were you in this? How long were you there? How long have you been with Booker T school?
I started training like the middle of 2017 and started really wrestling matches January 2018.
Okay.
So that's been 2.5 years, maybe a little more.
Okay. I know my partner Jeff, like I said, he's a little under the weather, but I know he would want to ask you this because he actually used to do some wrestling as well. What did you find most difficult with your training?
Man, I've been asked this before. Honestly, not a whole lot because, like I said, I've been an athlete my whole life, so the workouts and the conditioning that it was nothing. It was easy breezy because I'm just used to it. Like, I tell you what, the getting into a character and being able to being able to really put yourself out there, because I'm naturally without wrestling kind of a shy guy to where I don't like to be in your face or talk about myself a lot. And in wrestling, you have to do both of those, right? And not just as you're doing promos or talking or interviews, but as you're in the ring. So when you're in the ring, you want to be this super confident person because if I don't believe in myself, who's going to believe in me, just performing wise.
Yep. And
that was hard for me to do because in the back of my head, I had this little voice saying, oh man, I hope these guys don't think I'm an asshole. But you kind of get out of that and you're just like, you know what? Screw it. I got to do what's best for me. I got to put myself out there. I can't worry about what other people think. And then once you really take the chains off, it's such a weight lifted off your shoulders, just knowing that you're there performing, and this is a performance, and it's not always you. This isn't Will Allday saying, hey, I'm better than you, I'm the best, like, and any of that stuff, or any of these characters whatsoever. I mean, you kind of have to believe that a little bit, but you have the fallback of it being a show, being a character. And so that really made it easy for me once I shed that, because like I said, I was just always so self-conscious and really shy, and I didn't want to talk loud and all that. But you know, my career has been, it's been a lot easier on me prepping for matches and whatnot once I really let that go.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
I think you do a great job at it, by the way.
Thank you very much. You're not helping my ego, but yeah, thank you.
That's great.
No, I'm just kidding. Thank you.
So I've got to ask, because I did read about this a little bit. So you did a small stint in WWE, correct?
I have been there twice for as an extra.
Yep.
Yeah.
I read about, now I got to ask you, man, because I'm a basketball fan. So I got to ask you, how did you get to be called James Harden?
Well, I think me and Vinnie Mac, we were talking in the back, and
is it legal to look at him, by the way?
Yeah. You can't cough or sneeze or do anything like that.
Oh, man.
And that's just hearsay. That's just stuff you've heard through the grapevine. I like had very limited interaction with him. So I guess he just wanted to have a James Harden that actually, won in the playoffs. Yeah. So
Oh,
wow.
That was their mentality. That's not my mentality. That was his.
It's all good, man. I'm a Celtics fan. You could diss the Rockets all you want.
Oh, I'm a huge Rockets fan. I'm Houston born and bred. I know.
Oh,
but no, it was cool. He put me out there, and that was, I think, in June. So that was 5 months from when I had started actually wrestling. So it was a cool, very surreal, very awesome experience being in the Toyota Center, which is like the arena in downtown Houston, which I've kind of grown up going to watch concerts and sports. So there were people that I knew in the crowd. There were people obviously watching at home that knew me. And so that was really cool to have those people reach out and say that they saw me in my home state and the home arena. And it was surreal. But that being said, there was what Booker does at his promotion, Reality of Wrestling, is almost like a mini WWE. So it essentially gets you ready to be there, to teach you everything you need to know. And me only being 5 months into actually wrestling, I had no nerves going out there. It was purely excitement. There was no being scared. There was none of that. It was just yeah, I've been here before. I'm ready for this. I've done this a handful of times, because Booker still has the Titantron. He has the stage. He has all the lights. He has the music. He really gets you ready. He does his show day meetings every day of the show, just like Vince would do. They run you through what they want. And, it came off pretty cool. And now I'm undefeated in WWE.
There you go, man. But now I heard you cost some people tacos, though.
Yes, I did. But that was me trying to help people watch their weight. And so, as a man in fitness, I was just doing my due diligence.
There you go.
All right.
There you go. That's awesome, man. So what companies do you wrestle for now? I mean, obviously you're still with Booker T's company, so you're still with Reality of Wrestling. Have you done anything else with anyone else? Now I know, wasn't Impact going to, did something happen with Impact, correct?
Yeah, we did a show with Impact last year at some point. I believe I've been in extra roles for WWE and AEW, but that's not, you know, that's not what I'm reaching for. That's not my goal.
Okay.
So, you know, I liked being able to get back there to kind of see how things are run and just the process of everything, and really just kind of getting to know people and what all was going on. But other than that, I just kind of am traveling across the country, you know, working different independent shows, just trying to build my brand, my name, my exposure. I just got, right before this whole pandemic hit, I had just gotten back from the UK doing some matches over there. You know, I had stuff lined up to go up to Chicago. I had stuff lined up to go to LA. Right when I got back, I had like a match with Alberto Del Rio. It was going to be and we had a huge show at Reality of Wrestling. We were doing our Royal Rumble event right when we got back, and I was hoping to put my name in the hat to win that, and it just, everything, biggest month of my life, just down the drain. Nothing. But you know, you got to feel for everybody else. It's not just me. It was leading up to WrestleMania, so everybody's sitting at home on their couch, you know, disappointed.
Yep.
Oh, I know. I was supposed to go to WrestleMania,
Yeah.
and I didn't get to.
No. But
yeah,
it's a tough deal.
Yeah, I would imagine so. That's horrible. It's been crazy for everybody, and I mean, you know, you guys so much more. It's like we like to bring people on from indie circuits because it's just interesting to hear how different, you know, it's approached and how different it is when, like you were saying, when you're focusing on building yourself and not necessarily looking to go to, you know, one of the big major companies and stuff like that. And a lot of people, I think, get the wrong impression thinking that, like, oh, why wouldn't he want to be in, you know, WWE or AEW? But I kind of don't think they realize that, you know, people just don't need to do that. Like there's a different side to it.
Oh, I mean, yeah, everybody's got their own path. I know that, I don't know, to me, if somebody's saying that they don't want to go to one of these big companies, they're just full of crap.
Yeah.
Honestly, to me. So if you don't want to make an actual great living wrestling for one of the biggest companies, whether it be WWE, AEW, New Japan, Ring of Honor, Impact, you know, any of those big companies, then what are you doing? I don't get that, to me. But like I said, everybody has different paths. You got to be working for something. You're not building your name and your brand and your exposure for no reason. You're building it so these people who you have wanted to court I just put it in like if you're with a group of your buddies and you think that girl over there is really pretty, you're gonna think she's a lot prettier if all your buddies think she's prettier. So to me, that just says, listen, I need to make myself the prettiest person for this company, and I need to make all these other companies want me. So this one company's like, oh, hey, maybe we should sign that guy. So essentially, that's a big part of it to me.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Now,
So, Will, I want to ask you about
I
want to ask you about winning that television title back in October.
Yeah.
So that was pretty. It was a street fight.
Yes.
And pretty fresh off of, you know, you finishing and, you know, going through the program and actually wrestling, you know, as a career and everything like that. So how did that feel to get that title on so quickly?
It was awesome. It was really cool because that was the culmination of a feud between me and Brendan Steen, which is another Booker T Reality of Wrestling guy who is a fantastic performer, by the way. He's like one of my favorite opponents. And I think we had, I want to say like 6 or 7 shows in a row, we were doing things. And I think that was like the 5th or 6th match that we had been involved in together. And just like but before that, when you're getting started, when you're getting your feet wet, a lot of times you're just wrestling to wrestle, to get reps, to, you know, like just get better at the fundamentals, get better at the psychology, get better at wrestling matches. And so that's what I was doing for the first little bit of my career. And then this was just supposed to be another one-off match with me and Steen, and we killed it. And so they were like, hey guys, crowd loves it, we like it, we're going to do it again. Okay. And we were like, okay. So we did it again. And then the crowd just keeps getting more and more into it, and they start investing a lot more emotionally. And so once you start to see that, and this was my real first time feeling that, because like I said before that, I was just wrestling a random person every show I was at. Now I'm wrestling the same person, and we're building a storyline, and we're throwing things in for not just us to get invested, but now the fans are just building and building and building, and they're really giving us that energy to like do the next thing. So then the third match, we have a ladder match, and then we have like a stipulation to where I have to win to get a shot at his title, and he wins the title at the Impact taping. We had a match there, and then, you know, it was in August. We had our street fight.
August.
Yeah, and honestly, it's the most favorite match of my career, because not just like all the cool things we did, but because it was one of my favorite opponents, and it was just us like coming full circle with this whole feud, and we have so many creative juices flowing, and it's just so cool to see all of that come together for the culmination. And then the energy that the crowd's giving us, not just like at the end, but the entire 15 minutes of the match we're wrestling. And it's a really cool feeling, especially being that new and like that fresh into actually wrestling. Like, oh my gosh, like another light bulb just comes off, and this is how I'm supposed to feel. This is how this is supposed to feel. And so it was just a really, really cool, refreshing feeling to finally like get it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So,
I
it was
gotta
cool.
just add to that real quick, right? And just tie on right to that thought. So you got, coming from a guy, I mean, obviously I've never been in wrestling at all. I'm a big fan since I was, quite young. But what does it feel like when you know that you're over with a crowd? Like just try to explain that feeling to me as best that you can.
So it's just like the ultimate confidence booster. And now, like before you go through that curtain and you can feel the energy of the crowd when your music hits, it just like all your questions or your worries and your fears just melt away, because you can do no wrong. Nothing. There's nothing you can do to really lose that, at least that night. You feel invincible. Honestly, I feel like a gladiator. I feel like I'm going in there to beat the hell out of whoever's in front of me, and I'm going in there to put on a show, because this crowd, no matter what I do, is going to love every single thing that I do. So it really gives you the freedom to try new things. You don't have to go do all these crazy things to get the reactions you desire. So like it's a real like freeing feeling.
That's awesome, man. That's amazing.
That's amazing.
Again, that's something I love to get. Anyone I talk to that's in the business, I love to get that, because that must be I can't even comprehend. That's got to be the only thing I can even think to compare that to would be like a musician, like in a rock band. Like when you get out on that stage and you can hear fans chanting the song that you're singing. That's the only thing I can even think that could compare to.
That's exactly right. I mean, obviously you go straight to like Chris Jericho, right? And you hear the fans singing his song, and you can even see him when, like the first few times, I mean, I think he still does it, but when he goes out there and the music cuts off and the fans keep singing, he's just smiling, and he can't help but smile, because that is like, there's no feeling like that. And even him being, the baddest of bad guys, he puts on that smile, because it's just such a surreal feeling.
Man, I can't even imagine. That's unbelievable, man. So how has your character like evolved from the time you started it to now? And how would you say your evolution was guided? Like how did you evolve your character?
So I mean, that's a constant process, right? Like you're constantly like, especially at this level, constantly trying to switch things up and tweak and change them to really get a grasp of exactly who you are. And so to me, and I always say this to everybody, like the biggest thing is just confidence. No matter what you are or who you are, is if you're confident in yourself, everybody else is going to feel okay believing in what you're trying to portray as well. And so to me, I haven't really changed that much. You know, I've dressed a little flashier. I have a little bit more bravado and arrogance and confidence, but that's honestly, that's about it. And, you know, until somebody who's giving me a big paycheck tells me to change, then that's probably what you're going to get for here on out.
Man, that's awesome.
If you guys, you know, for everybody that's listening out there, if you guys have not seen that match between Will and Brendan Steen where he wins the TV championship and that street fight, it's insane.
Awesome. Thank you.
It's an amazing match. It's
Thank
fantastic.
you very much. Yeah, it's my favorite. It really is.
That's great, man. Now, Will, have you been both heel and face? Have you done both, or have you played just primarily one side?
So actually the bulk of my career, most of my like beginning stuff was all heel.
Okay.
And it's tough to do that as a new guy because you're supposed to control the matches and, you know, have that confidence, not just in your character or your performance, but also like the psychology of everything, that everything's going the right way. But I think I transitioned really to mainly babyface here about a year ago, I think.
Okay.
So, I mean, I've kind of done like a year heel, a year baby, and then I do like heel here and there at some places still, and then it's kind of just what they ask me. But right now I'm mainly babyface, and I like doing both. I like doing either. I don't really change my character much.
Okay.
I think I'll say a little bit more brash things, you know, when I'm a heel. Obviously my work is going to be a little more dastardly and underhanded, but other than that, I don't change a whole lot. I just try to portray me being like an elite athlete and being real confident in, you know, my performance, my portrayal. I feel like, you know, I'm like a rock star, and I'm not in the music sense, in the just like a persona sense. And so that's what I just try to portray, and that's what I'm bringing no matter what side of the line I'm on.
That's awesome. Well, you answered my next question. I was going to ask you what you preferred, but there you go.
Yeah. It kind of comes hand in hand, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, now you had spoken about, you know, where you were going and, you know, you were doing traveling, obviously you're over the UK. So where do you see yourself, man? Like where would Will like to be in 3 years from now? Where would you like to end up somewhere down the road?
On TV.
Okay.
In a big American company.
Okay.
And it just depends. Like, obviously right now I don't have a mass amount of leverage, so I'm just trying to build that, and whatever really is the best spot for me to go. And I like either big company right now in the US, but you know, if one has a path that helps me get to a higher spot quicker, then obviously I want to take that, because I have supreme confidence in myself to, you know, knock that out of the park. And so I just want the chance to be able to prove myself, and, you know, whichever company that happens to come comes first. And that's not just a contract, that's like saying, hey, this is what we want to do with you, then that's obviously what I would prefer. Gotcha,
man.
I think he would fit really, really well as a heel on either Raw or SmackDown.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great. I'd love to do it. I'd love to get the chance.
I mean, because if you think about it, and you know, I probably have the world's worst memory. They don't really have, you know, someone that's smaller, that's that aerodynamic, that's a heel.
I mean, AJ Styles or Dolph Ziggler is
Yeah.
kind of a lot of the people I like look at as taking things away because those are some of the best performers in the business. But right now, those two come to mind to me.
Yeah.
But other than those, there's really not.
No,
that
not a
many.
whole bunch. There's a
so-
bunch of monsters.
Oh man. Who is there anybody out there that you watch that you enjoy? I mean, we have so much wrestling now. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, we try to talk about a lot of it. So AEW, you know, WWE, we talk about NWA on YouTube. So yeah, I mean, there's just so much of it out there now. Is there anybody out there that caught your eye? I mean, you talked about AJ Styles. I mean, did you see WrestleMania?
I did. Yeah, I watched it. I'm glad that they went through with it because I think it, you know, I love the show must go on mentality. That's how every single coach I've ever played for has always gone after business. And so I like people who are wired that way, and I like companies that are wired that way. So I was really happy that they did it. I loved it. I thought it needed to happen. It was a great like getaway or like escape for the fans and whatnot. And you know, you don't want to stop the momentum going into WrestleMania. That's so tough to do. How do you do that? What other thing could you think of, you know, delaying it, but then you got to change everything up.
Yeah, all the stories that have to change.
Yeah, absolutely.
What did you think? What did you think of the cinematic matches? Do you think that because we had spoken a little bit about that, and we did a wrap up podcast earlier in the week, and we spoke about that. Like, do you think that's something that they could end up using, you know, going ahead, like things like that? Could you make these matches almost into like little mini movies, like they did with Undertaker and AJ?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, and it works for characters like the Undertaker. It works for Bray Wyatt. It would work for like the Demon if Finn Balor came back as something like that. I think obviously you're not going to do this all the time. It's going to be for big special occasions. But I loved the difference, especially right now when at this moment in time when all the matches are empty arena matches. So this just added that spice. It was so fresh because you're not just watching two guys go in front of nobody to wrestle. It's these guys are in their compounds. These guys are in different settings. It was really, really cool to me.
Yeah, man, I agree. I think we all agreed. It was seeing it. I mean, I'm a big horror fan, so anytime I get to see those guys in like a creepy area, something like that, I'm all for that stuff, man. It's like you're watching it. It's like you're watching a horror movie. I was on the edge of my seat during that match, and you know, it was really a tribute to them that they pulled that off. I thought it was amazing. And like you said, man, that's something I think they can really look into now for, like you said, not going to do it all the time because it's expensive, but you know, look into that for the bigger events I think that'd be amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
Well, awesome. And you know, they've done stuff like that before, obviously with, you know, Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt having that ultimate deletion match. But now I definitely think with them being so successful, both of those matches, that they may use it a little more frequently than they were.
Yeah, I think so, but just for specific characters like a broken Matt Hardy or a Bray Wyatt or a Undertaker.
Yeah.
There goes my favorite two words again.
Oh, of course.
What are your favorite two words?
Well, Jody, you open the can of worms. You may as well tell them.
Uh-oh.
Jody would be a very big Bray Wyatt fan. Let's just put it that way.
I figured. I just thought I may have missed something.
I think all of us actually kind of were, to be honest, because
I was about to say, who isn't?
Yeah. Right.
I mean, I'll be honest. I stopped watching a little bit after he was gone for the last time because I was so into that character, and when he left, I was like, I stopped watching for a little while, and then when this thing all started, oh my goodness, how crazy! But yeah, it's, and again, that's got to be. I've stopped to wonder like how much of creative control and everything like that. And I mean, that would lead to you too. Like, so somewhere down the road, you know, let's say you get into WWE or AEW, one of these big companies. So, you know, would you want to be somebody who would be able to, you know, express themselves that way, like be a little bit more creative, a little more involved, or doesn't that really, you know, doesn't that really matter as much to you? In other words, like you just go in and say, hey, what, you know, whatever you got for me, I'm good.
Well, I mean, I think if you have something you can invest in and something that like you're part of, then obviously it's going to be a lot more fun for you. But I am not opposed to walking in and saying, hey, you know, what's up today? But also in that same sense, I want to have I don't want to say control, but I want to have the decision to be like, oh, that sucks. Can we change it this way? You know, but that's not something you're just given. You got to earn that over years and years and years. And so, you know, obviously everybody wants, you know, the perfect ideal scenario, but you know, you gotta earn it.
Very true. That's awesome, man. So once this all clears up and we get on with our lives, what's next for you? You know, I know you said, you know, obviously some stuff got canceled and stuff like that, but you know, where are you going, you know, later this year? I mean, what's next for you down the road?
Well,
I know
who knows
it's hard
when that'll be.
Yeah. You're right. You are correct, sir.
I'm going to be honest. I don't know. When this all clears up, I'll have a better idea and understanding. But right now, it's kind of you standing on, like, you're by yourself right now. Everybody's by themselves right now, just trying to figure out what they can do to make themselves better as a person, as an individual, as a performer. And so, you know, I think you're going to see a lot of changes coming out of this. I think you're going to see people coming out way better than before and people coming out way worse than before. So nobody knows, man. Yeah,
no, that's true. And I've said that to a lot of people, I think, and then not only in wrestling, but you know, this whole thing, it's going to change a lot. The world's going to be a much different place, I think, when this all ends up, you know, coming to fruition. So
I think so.
Yeah, I agree, man. Well, listen, can you tell our community, the guys that are listening out there, so where can they find you on social media, websites, anything else? Let us know where we can go and we can check out some of your merch, some of your matches, whatever.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'm on every social media platform at I am Mr. MR Allday, Allday. The name's Will Allday, and I'm on YouTube as the same handle. I try to keep everything uniform so it's easier to find me.
Awesome, man. I know a lot of our guys are going to want to check that out, especially that match that Jody was talking about earlier. So that's fantastic.
Oh, I'm actually watching it right now. It's fantastic.
Awesome.
Well, there you go. That's great, man.
Yeah, check out Will Allday on YouTube. Let me know what you think. Send me a message.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Hey, listen, man, we really appreciate talking to you. I loved it. I always love hearing from, you know, the inside and, you know, especially someone that came up through wrestling and that kind of thing. I loved it. I really, really appreciate you joining us. And yeah, man, we'd love to have you back anytime. So hopefully somewhere down the road, you get into one of those bigger companies, man. I'd love to have you back and just talk again about the journey.
Yeah, man, I'd love it. Thank you guys for having me on.
No problem, man. We really appreciate it anytime, like I said. And man, good luck to you with everything. And we're definitely going to be watching.
Thank you, guys.
You got it, buddy. Soon. All right, man. Have a good night.
You too.